So, Chapter 1, Evolution, Change in Living Systems. We are working on the chapter overview. Once again, this is the third chapter where we're hitting up this next generation science standards, which is biological evolution, unity, and diversity. And it's focusing on a couple of things. Major concept number 1 is common ancestry. In other words, all living things share a common ancestor. Talks about how organisms share so many features. And this chapter is called unity and diversity. So common ancestry explains the unity portion of it. Okay, so all organisms, for example, every living thing on the planet has DNA. That's because every living thing came from a common ancestor that also had DNA. And so that explains the unity of life. And then next major concept is over vast periods of time, life on Earth is shaped by natural selection, speciation, and extinction. These are where the diversity of life come about. Remember, natural selection leads to adaptations, and different adaptations will occur for different environments. And then speciation is when you have one species that splits, and those two populations are, you have one population that splits, and those two populations become more and more different from each other until eventually they can no longer come back together as the original population. And so therefore you now have one species turning into two species. And then you have extinction, and extinction is just the end of a population, and it could also be the end of a species. Okay, you guys are going to be learning how to do biological classification. You're going to be doing those evolutionary trees, and you're going to have to learn how to read those trees. You're going to have to tell me where is a common ancestor, or which organisms share the most recent ancestor, which organisms share the least recent ancestor, which organisms have trait A based on this. So you're going to have to learn how to read those evolutionary trees. Many different sources of evidence support the theory of evolution. We're going to be focusing on homologous structures, analogous structures, vestigial structures, and how all three pieces of those evidence support the theory of evolution by natural selection. Once again, we're going to hit up, this goes along with next generation science standards, about scientific theories. Just like in Chapter 2, scientific theories are supported by evidence. Evidence, much different than you saying you have a theory about how the president is an alien. Okay? Scientific theories are tentative, and they do change over time as more evidence is discovered. No scientific theory is 100% stationary. It will change a little bit. Does that mean you're completely throwing out a theory? That hardly ever happens. That hardly ever happens that a theory is completely thrown out. But what usually does happen is the theory gets little caveats added onto it, or a little bit, or this theory is true in almost all of these situations, but in this one situation, the theory is a little bit different. It works a little bit differently in this one situation. Okay. Once again, we've already gone over those all the activities you are going to be doing for this. The next important thing is the list of words, and the list of words is on the back page. Some of it you already know, like photosynthesis. And most of them you do not know. You might know, for example, extinction. You might have an idea about species, but I'd be wary about writing that one down because there are many different definitions of species. And these are all of the things that you should have done before your quiz, which is going to be on October 23rd, 2018. So you're going to want to try to get these done before then. And in all of the What Are We Doing Today slides, I have a list of the vocabulary words that you encountered during that activity. So please follow along in the What Are We Doing Today slides to keep up to date with this list. Okay? Questions?